Despite soaring GDP growth, falling inflation rates, and near record low levels of unemployment, millions of Americans feel that Biden's economy is an absolute disaster that isn't working for them. So what's going on here? Do these Americans have a legitimate point? Or are they just playing partisan politics with a president that they don't like? Just as importantly, we need to ask the bigger question: why is it so hard to define the health of the economy, and why do we see so many different, oftentimes conflicting and sensational financial headlines? We're talking all about it in today's video. Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm the Part-Time Economist, and in today's video, we're talking about how difficult it is to truly understand the economy and even harder to predict where it's going. Now, obviously, this isn't a financial advice video. I'm just sharing some of the random thoughts in my head, and I want to start this video by talking about this absolutely fantastic article on CNN Business by Allison Morrow. Now, this article, I absolutely love it because essentially what she does is goes through and points out and says, look, by all these objective measures, right? GDP growth, inflation, all of these things that we measure the economy by, the quote, Biden economy is doing really well. But here's the thing. She points out that despite it, quote, doing well, only 2% of Republicans say that Biden has improved the economy, which we expect that, right? Republicans, Democrats, they don't like each other. But only 48% of Democrats think that Biden has improved the economy. So even these people that probably support Biden politically, they're saying, what you're doing with the economy, it just isn't working for me, right? So the question is why? Why can we have all of these numbers that look good on paper and people still say the economy isn't working for them? And everyone offers a different viewpoint, right? I've heard some commentators who will basically say, well, these numbers are fudged. They don't account for XYZ. I'm inclined to believe that the numbers are pretty accurate. So in my opinion, that's not the issue. Other people will say, look, the economy's doing well. Look at GDP, look at CPI, look at inflation. If you don't like it, you just don't like Biden because you don't like his politics, right? Again, I don't feel like that's the answer. This is why I love this article here, because she points out that the economy has lots of different components. And in my opinion, there is no one single, quote, economy. The economy means something different to everyone. Everyone has something that they care more about. So let me give you some examples from the article. She specifically mentions gas prices. So think about this. You hear that GDP is up 5.2%. What does that mean to you on a day-to-day basis? Now, flip around. Every single week when you go to fill up your vehicle, you remember back under Trump or Obama or Bush, right? Doesn't matter. You remember however long ago you were paying $2 a gallon. Now you look, you're paying around $4 a gallon. That is something that you can see. That is something that you have to be exposed to every single week. It's something that's taking money out of your paycheck. If you're paying in cash, right, you're seeing yourself shell out more money for this, right? This is something that's highly salient, right? It is something that's impactful. And it's something that's recurring. Something like this, I would argue, has a bigger impact on the average American than something like GDP growth, than something such as unemployment rate. Unless, of course, you're looking for a job, in which case unemployment rate is probably the measure of the economy that you care most about. Another example, let's suppose we see the S&P 500 stock market has went up. If you're an average American, you're more concerned about unaffordable housing, right? You see your rent went up $200, $300, right? Or maybe you're trying to move to a new city and you say, wow, I can't afford anything. Again, this is a highly impactful feature of the economy because the stock market going up, what do you care? High rent prices, it's literally preventing you from moving to a new city and having an entirely different type of lifestyle. So could it be true that unemployment is near a record low and that GDP is soaring, but the economy isn't working for people? In my opinion, the answer is absolutely yes, because the economy is going to be something different for everyone, right? Many people might not care about the S&P 500, but if I'm a retiree living off dividends or having to sell off portions of my portfolio, that's going to be hugely important to me. So I think when we hear Americans saying that the economy isn't working for them, it's important to take those concerns seriously and not just brush it off as them being ignorant of the facts, right? GDP is up. They should understand that, right? It's saying, okay, why is the economy not working for you? What does the economy look like for you? Is it gas prices? Is it housing, right? What is going on here? But we should also understand that getting the economy right and what's going on with it isn't just difficult for your average everyday member of the economy. It's also incredibly difficult for journalists to get right. So check out this article. You can see here CNN Business basically saying that, look, we have economic slowdown ahead. Things were really good. We had high GDP growth, but it can't keep going this well for this long, right? Things are going to start going the wrong way. Get this though. Literally side by side on my suggested articles, I found this article from Business Insider basically saying America has achieved economic nirvana. And in that article, the author goes through, they point out, look, we're having slowing inflation. We're having high GDP growth. We're having the prices of vehicles falling down. Things are on the up and up, basically, right? And what I find so interesting, they're both looking at the same data, but they're having a very different interpretation. And I think that part of this just comes down to, as analysts, they're presented with a ton of data, and the pressure is on them to, one, make sense of that data, but number two, get a shocking headline that gets your attention. And what I really like, you can see in this article, the author straight up admits it. They say, look, we've got to get attention. So when you're looking at different articles, that's something to keep in mind. No one is going to click on an article that says, I have no idea where the economy is going, or your guess is as good as mine about the economy, right? They want something shocking. And I've noticed this with my YouTube videos. When I make a video about a very important topic, a foundational skill of investing, how to read an options quote, how to read a prospectus for a mutual fund, right? These are foundational skills that can really prevent you from getting burned in the stock market or when you're investing. It's going to get 20, 30 views. If I make a video titled "End of the Dollar?" or "Bitcoin to Zero?" it's going to get 10 times the view. The simple fact of the matter is people want shocking headlines. They want to feel like they have the inside scoop, that they know something big is on the horizon. So what does that mean? When you see a shocking headline, does it mean that article's not true? No, of course not. As we saw in both of these articles, both the economic nirvana article and the slowdown coming article, both authors presented logical, rational arguments for why they believed their viewpoint. And that's the key, I think, when it comes to financial journalism, economic analysis. You've got to make a prediction, right? People are coming to you because they want you to make sense of the data for them. So you've got to, number one, make a prediction, and it has to be a prediction that matters. That's why you see all of these articles with the really bold headlines, because they're saying, look, you need to pay attention to this, right? This is something that's going to be significant in your life. And then you have to go through and give the reasons. Now, you've also probably noticed that a lot of times economic predictions are simply flat out wrong. That's okay. The audience, they're not holding you necessarily clearly, right? As we can see from all of these failed predictions, the audience doesn't care about holding a publication to being 100% accurate. What they want is a shocking headline that presents a rational analysis of why that could technically happen. So I know I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but the key takeaway is that just as the American public, just as individual citizens have a different interpretation of objective economic facts, so do the analysts, right? Each analyst is going to interpret things in a different way. That's kind of the key portion of this video. Everyone disagrees on the most important aspects of the economy, and then especially when you're consuming financial analysis, financial news, the last thing that I would leave you with is that if you're on the internet, just be aware that a lot of these headlines that you see are sometimes over the top, right? There's a lot of YouTube channels that I love to watch, but let's be honest, they will make a video every single day, and no matter what day it is, their thumbnail is going to be big red warning letters. They're going to have flames and fire in the background, and you're going to think that every single video is changing the world as we know it. Now, it doesn't mean that the content in these videos isn't true or isn't presented from a place of good faith, right? It just means that, come on, how many life-changing, game-altering events are we going to have in a 24-hour time period, right? So again, it doesn't mean the analysis isn't true. It's just important to understand that sometimes these headlines are over the top because they have to get your attention. So if you're really looking for a detailed analysis, it's important to read through the article, evaluate the arguments for yourself, and then see whether or not you agree with the conclusions. As always, I do appreciate you watching the video. I hope you found it useful, and I will see you next time.